don't give a damn about no damn Drake night. All of the Durant haters, where are you motherfuckers now? Before I get into this any further, like I always want to remind you guys that if you want to donate to Two Raw for TV, I have links in the description box where you could do so if you choose to. And thank you to all the people who have supported my channel and have donated to my channel and have been subscribed to my channel for all these numbers of years. Now, let's get into the nitty gritty. Read from the report now. According to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, and when you know Wojnarowski says something, it is official. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, Kevin Durant plans to return to action for Game 5 tonight against the Toronto Raptors on Monday night. According to Anthony Slate of The Athletic, Durant will not be expected to have any minute restrictions, which of course you would, tend to believe since this is a potential elimination game for the Golden State Warriors. Now, even I have to admit that after Game 4, when Durant was not cleared to play, even I started wondering, like, well, damn, is there something wrong with his Achilles? Because I hadn't really watched much of Durant. Only thing I ever saw was just him standing out, in a tunnel, showing support for his teammates during halftime or whatever. So even I was starting to wonder, is it something more than just a calf muscle? But nah, I should have known better. I now believe that possibly, don't get me wrong, Kevin Durant seriously was injured. It was a legitimate injury. But I think he might have been exaggerating his limp to an extent for the media over the past couple of, maybe the last week or so. Like, some of it could just be psychological, maneuvering. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of this stuff, when it comes to basketball and success, a lot of it does delve into psychological matters. The team that has the most confidence psychologically often is the team that wins. When you take away someone's confidence, they can become a shell of themselves. Look at Nick Anderson. Nick Anderson, before Game 1 of the 1995 NBA Finals, Nick Anderson, gotta remember he was the first player drafted in the history of the Orlando Magic, before Tracy McGrady, before Dwight Howard, before Penny Hardaway, before the great Shaquille O'Neal. Their first star was Nick Anderson. He was the guy that was putting up 20 points per game for them until they got Shaquille O'Neal. Then he adjusted his game. And further still when they got Penny Hardaway. But Nick Anderson was a dog. Nick Anderson was a beast out there. And before that game, Nick Anderson was a dependable free throw shooter. Now, he wasn't Mark Price or Steph Curry, but he could knock him down. After that game where he missed those 4 straight free throws, right? I'm just telling you this, guys, just to give you an example I'm talking about. After he missed those 4 free throws and Orlando went on to lose that game and then get swept in the series, I think something happened to Nick Anderson psychologically. And I think we all saw it. He wasn't the same player anymore. And afterward, he became more or less just a perimeter shooter. Gone was the slashing Nick Anderson. And his replacement was a more than dependable knockdown outside shooter and pretty good defensive player, but a guy who did not want to get to the foul line. And when he did get to the foul line, for the most part, he struggled. One year, I remember he shot like only 40-some% from the free throw line. So he was not the same player. So a lot of this has to do with psychological advantages or the psychological aspect of it. So how do you think the Raptors feel tonight, outside of Kawhi Leonard? I don't think it matters to him. But some of these other guys, how do you think it matters? How do these guys feel knowing that they're up 3-1, but now all of a sudden the big X factor in this series, which was the departure, not departure, but the departure of Kevin Durant from the lineup. Now all of a sudden, Kevin Durant is there. It has to put some pause in this situation for the Raptors. You know what I'm saying? And like Ticket TV said in his stream, man, yeah, it's been a long time since Kevin Durant has played. He hasn't played, I think, in a game since May the 8th. So he's not going to be 100% most likely. But his game is not predicated on athleticism. Okay, Kevin Durant can score in so many different ways. He can score anywhere on the court, and a guy with his size and his ball handling ability, even if he's only 70% of Kevin Durant, this is a guy that still can get you 25 points or more. And you got to remember, when you're as truly great as a Kevin Durant, you can still miss substantial amounts of time and then come back and still have a monumental game. People got to remember, Michael Jordan missed almost 2 years after his retirement when he came back. The last NBA game he played in before his first retirement was June of 1993. He didn't go on to play another NBA game until his comeback in March, of 1995. That's a near 2 year span without playing professional basketball. And yes, he did struggle, but you got to remember, in his fifth game, he dropped 55 points. So even in that, you know, phase where he came back and he admitted he didn't have the same confidence he normally had before or after that season, which he regained in the 96 season. He didn't have the same confidence. He knew his game wasn't quite right. He had to work himself back into basketball shape, having played baseball for so many years, 2 years. He still was able to drop 55 points. And I think he had a 40-point game in there, too. So what I'm saying is, just because of how great Kevin Durant is as a player, he's more than capable of scoring 40 points. Not that he's going to do it, but he can. Larry Bird, when he was a shell of himself his last year with the Boston Celtics, dropped a 49-point triple-double against the Portland Trailblazers. That's what happens when you're a great player. When you're a great player, you can still have these nights. Remember, Kobe Bryant was done his last year. I made fun of him. Remember I did a video. I think it was April Fool's 2016. And I said something about Kobe dropped 60 points or something like that, right? And I said April Fool's, and I showed a lot of footage of him missing. Well, the joke was on me because the motherfucker did drop 60 in his last game of the season. He did drop 60. Now, granted, at that stage of his career, he kind of needed to be force-fed the basketball to get it, but he got it. Great players are still able to do great things, regardless of the circumstances. They might not do it as consistently as they do when they're younger, in their prime, or when they're healthy. But Kevin Durant is more than capable. Believe me, if he gets it rolling, Kevin Durant is like George Gervin. Okay, George Gervin led the NBA in scoring 3 consecutive seasons, 1977 and 1980. Right? I think it was 27. Let me get my thoughts right. I think it was 27.8 points per game or something like that. 29.6 points per game, and then 33 point. I think it was 33 point. Was it 1 points per game or something like that? I'm a little rusty with my numbers, right? But guess what? I guarantee you that he probably, except for maybe that last year, He probably didn't lead the NBA in shot attempts per game. He was extremely efficient. He didn't take that many shots. He didn't play as many minutes as other players, 33 minutes, 34 minutes per game. George Gervin was just a great scorer. And Kevin Durant is even greater than George Gervin. Kevin Durant is not a volume scorer. Kevin Durant does not need to take 40 shots to score 50 points. Kevin Durant can go 19 for 28 from the floor. Right? That's 38 points. Hit about 5 threes. That's 43. Can go 7 to 7 at the line. That's a 50 piece. That's what Kevin Durant can do. Now, on the defensive end, his injury is probably going to, like it did Klay Thompson, affect him more so. But the defense is not necessarily what the Warriors are looking for with him, although his size alone can cause defensive issues. What they need is a little bit more of a punch offensively. And that's weird saying that about the Warriors, as great as they've been offensively the last couple of years. But they need a little bit more offensive punch because that's how this Warrior team has been effective this year. They've just been able to outscore every fucking body. And from time to time, play effective defenses and stretches. Now, having said all of that, right, the Warriors might still lose this game. They might still lose this game. And the Raptors might win their first ever NBA championship. But let me call some of you Raptors fans too, man. A lot of you dudes, and I admire Kawhi Leonard a lot. You guys know that from watching my channel. I love Kawhi Leonard. All right? I think he's possibly the best player in the NBA. But although Kevin Durant, though, Kevin Durant, I think he's probably still the best player in the NBA. But Kawhi Leonard is right there. And the reason why I'll put Kawhi Leonard over him in the playoffs is because Durant has missed so much time right now. But if Kevin Durant is able to will his team to a victory tonight and extend the series to 7 and then somehow win a championship, not only will I have to reclaim him the best player in the NBA, I would have to push Kevin Durant much further up on that list of my all-time greats. Because he would have done something truly historic. Number one, let's look at it like this. If Kevin Durant were to leave the Warriors in free agency, right? Look at what he have accomplished. He would have gone from being on a team that blew a 3-1 lead against the Warriors, right, to joining them. Then to constantly hear people say, Chris Broussard, constantly hear people talking about how, well, he couldn't beat them, so he joined them. Even I was saying that, okay? But you hear people constantly say dumb shit, like somehow this team is better without Kevin Durant. I'm gonna tell you when I heard stupid shit like this. I remember when I was in high school, and I remember the Bulls were beat by Orlando, right, in the second round in '95. The year before that, they played the Knicks and lost the Knicks. I think it was in the second round, but that series went 7 games, and that team won 55 games. I remember people saying, these people had the audacity to say, I think this Bulls team might be better without Mike. I think Mike holds the ball too much. He shoots too much, blah, 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 blah. He's not the same player. I swear to God, I wanted to physically smack the fucking black off these motherfuckers when they said that shit, man. I'm telling you, I really couldn't, I couldn't believe they said that stupid shit, man. But basically, anyway, that all's been proven wrong. Obviously, because they're not the same team without Kevin Durant. If Kevin Durant is able to pull this off, it'll be a personal three-peat. He'll have tied LeBron James in championship rings, so that argument is no longer there. It'll be the Warriors' 4th championship in 5 years. Curry, Draymond, Thompson, Iguodala, Livingston, right? It'll be Steve Kerr's 9th championship overall. Even though I know he was a role player, and even though I know he's a mediocre coach, but the media would eat that up. They would say he ties Red Auerbach because it'll be his 5th championship as a player. It'll be 5 championships as a player, and it'll be his 4th championship as a head coach. And then they'll be like, oh well, can he catch Phil Jackson and all this dumb shit? Even though actually Phil Jackson, if you want to be honest about it, if you want to combine regular season, player and coaching titles, I think he has 13 because I think he won 2 with the Knicks, 1970 and 73, the 6 with the Bulls, and then the 5 with the Lakers. So technically, he's been on the 13 championship winning teams. Now, I don't think anybody's going to catch Jackson. It's going to take a very unique situation for that. But let me wrap this video by saying this, man. I see you guys out there, right? I see you fake Raptor fans. Where were you guys? But where were you guys when the Raptors were down 2-0 to the Milwaukee Bucks? Right? Where were you? Where were you guys before Kawhi hit that game winner against the Sixers? Where were you? I don't want to hear the excuses. I didn't want to hear from Warriors fans, Joe Bud. I don't want to hear from Raptors fans. Because basically what you're saying, because I can see what's gonna be, what your excuse is gonna be, which actually is gonna make you look weak. You're gonna say, but they had Durant. So what you trying to say? Y'all couldn't beat a team that was fully strength? Because if I'm mistaken, if that's the case, then that's a fraudulent championship. I mean, I look at it like this. This is what I'm saying. Injuries do matter, but at the end of the day, I can't sit up there and chastise a team or hold it against a team because they won a title without their best player. Because if you want to do that, you can do that for a lot of different teams. The '89 Pistons beat a Laker team that didn't have Magic Johnson or Byron Scott. And people got to remember that Lakers team was 11-0 in the playoffs. They were 11-0 in the playoffs until Magic Johnson and Byron Scott went down. And even though the Pistons swept them, most of those games were not blowouts. They were kind of close, competitive games until I think the Pistons kind of, ran away with it in the fourth quarter. So if Magic Johnson was there, you don't think that they would have won some of them games? I'm just saying. "2008, Boston, their last title. They beat the Lakers in 6. One of those games, they came back from like 24 down. But it has to be said, the Lakers didn't have Andrew Bynum. He was injured. Pau Gasol was playing soft. 2 years later, Pau Gasol won that matchup against Kevin Garnett, and they had Bynum that time. Injuries matter, man. They do matter to an extent. They're not an excuse, but they matter. And this regular season shit doesn't matter either, man. It kind of matters, but in the end, it doesn't. Okay. Okay, yeah. So Toronto came into Oracle and beat them by 20. That doesn't necessarily mean that in the series they're going to keep going to Oracle and beating them by 20. Got to look at different situations. They could have been catching the Warriors, playing 4 games in 5 nights, or a back-to-back, whatever. It's different things. It's different little things you got to look at. If that's the case, The 98 Utah Jazz swept the Chicago Bulls in the regular season. What happened in the NBA Finals? The Utah Jazz looked like an unstoppable machine in the playoffs. They had swept the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe. They swept them 4-0. The Bulls went 7 games with the Pacers. Who won that finals? The Chicago Bulls. In the 89 regular season, the Cleveland Cavaliers, that team that had Brad Daugherty, Larry Nance, Mark Price, Ron Harper, John Hotwire Williams, may he rest in peace. Okay, that team, Craig Elo, that team went 6-0 against the Chicago Bulls in the playoffs. In the last game of the regular season, Cleveland rested their starters, Chicago played their starters, and they still beat the Bulls. That's why people make so much about the shot, because everybody thought Cleveland was going to be the team of the 90s. Jordan changed history. He changed history, goddammit! So, Kevin Durant can do something phenomenal. If they lose tonight, the Warriors, bravo to the Raptors. But if the Warriors somehow win this game, I think Game 6 will be a blowout for the Warriors. And then in the Game 7, anything can happen. Anything can happen. So, that's that.